Hello, I'm just kidding. But today I'm making a video about something that happened, I think it was last week or something like that. It might have been last week. I know, I've been staying with my birth mother because I got kicked out of my house for this YouTube channel. No shit. But I'll stay with my birth mother anyway, and like me and my mate, and he's a good friend of mine, shout out Rory, chirp, and we were driving, and because we made an effort to like train and that, and so we're like, oh, we'll go do some pull-ups. So we started driving to Pete Park in Wanganui anyway, and when we were heading there, just seen black smoke, and I know what that was. I was like, fuck, that's a fucking house fire, G. And then we pulled up out front of the house. Sure enough, man, there were people like, ah. This lady's just running down the road. You could imagine what was going on. And I just jumped out of the car straight away, and I looked at I was like, is there anyone? Because I was thinking, fuck, like I ain't a firefighter, bro, but I'm in there. That was my first thought. So I was like, is there anyone in the house? And like between amongst the screaming, the youngest of the people were like, no, like they're the only ones answering the question. So there was one car already taking off, and that must have had the first lot of people, the worst burn victims in there. I think it was, I can't remember who the boy was, but the boy was actually, even though he was burned, he's turned around and he looked at us from out the car window, and he's like, there's a couple more people there. And the eldest person who was there, she's screaming, carrying on, and I was like, fuck. And I was like, who the fuck's burnt? Like, who's fucking burnt? Because we had established that there was no one inside the house. So these two young fellas creep forward, man. One of these kids, bro, his hands were fucking like I've seen it before. The skin was melting off his hands. And then the other kid, he had like it was a bad burn, but he wasn't as bad. And then I was like, right, you two in the car, bro, that's us. And they're like, what are we doing? I was like, you're going to hospital, bro. So we cruised in the hospital, and this is the funny part, because the young kids, they like told me what had happened and that. And like, as a Kiwi, and like I know a lot of people in this town especially, so don't you go fucking talking shit either, that a lot of us smoke pot, a lot of you people smoke pot, you know? So like a kid trying to make goldies at that age is a pretty common fucking thing in this country, eh? And I know a few people that the same things happen to, but this is just on a more severe scale. So don't start getting fucking what are those kids doing about it, because you don't be a fucking hypocrite piece of shit. So we're dropping these kids off, and they are pretty funny. And I said to one of them, I turned around and I said, brother, like, stop touching your fucking hands, because, obviously it's not good when your skin's melting off, and, they've got to sort the burns out. I said, brother, it's going to fucking hurt. I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be sore, and you're just going to have to be strong. And then the other kid, he like leaned forward, and he's like, bro, do you have a vape? And I was like, I don't have a vape, bro, but I've got a cigarette. And I don't condone giving ciggies to kids, but if you're that burnt up and you're hanging for a vape, bro, if I can give you a ciggy and that does the job, sweet. Or this kid like puts dart in his mouth, he's like, fuck, it was pretty funny, but it was the funniest time of worst situation. That's how, And then the other boy was quite young too. I think he was 14, 15 as well. And he just asked us, can you go see my mum and dad and tell them? And he gave us the mum and dad's address, and sweet. So he dropped them off at the hospital. These little cunts, they like run inside, and I was like, sweet, well, they're sorted, sweet. So we went to the parents' house. We go to the parents' house. To knock on the door, hey mate, is your son blah blah? And then the mother pretty much nearly dropped to the ground. I said the kid's all right, but he is burnt. Like he's not life-threateningly burnt, but he's all right. And yeah, so he dropped them off, and we're like cruising, and then like, cause we weren't speeding back or anything. Like the bro was just kicking back, driving. So I was like, sweet, and we'll go back and have a look. We get there, there's one fire truck there, and the fire was put out. So the fire's put out, right? So one fire truck, fire's done, and then like by this time you can imagine the amount of rubberneckers all standing around and shit. And I've just been a smart cut, bro, because you got like next minute there's like 3 fire trucks pulling up, and there's like big fat bitch like gets out of the fucking fire truck, bro. And I was like, bro, what do you call this, bro? It's over. It's all over. Kids are at the hospital. It's all sorted, mate. Like, you know, and while we're staying, I'm just getting smart to them because it's a crock of shit. Like, you should have been there a lot faster. And like, you know, not one ambulance showed up, and no shit, not one fucking ambulance showed up. So I was quite fucking out of it. And then while we're sitting there, I'm just leaning on the fence, cracked the ciggy, boom, smoking a cig. Some lady's just sitting there, and then like, because I was talking to the bro about those boys, and then I said, you know, fuck, like, little cunts, you know, we were just cracking up because it's like, fuck, like, this is the worst situation to happen, but you got to smile through the bullshit, eh? So we just having a laugh anyway. It's like real fat bitch, like, you know, like she one of them Karens, bro. She fucking like cruises up, and then she's like gawking at me, you know, like she's like, what happened? And then I was like, well, if you look across the road, right, and she like starts looking across the road, I was like, there's been a house fire, and the people went to hospital, and now the fire's been put out. And then she's like, I wonder how it started. And then I was like, well, I don't know. I'm pretty used to just minding my own fucking business. And then she turned around and she went to walk off. And you know these Karens, they can't just leave it there. She went to walk off. And then she like stopped turning. She's like, I heard you say that the boys were idiots. So, I wonder what happened. And I was like, well, how about you just fuck off? And then she just fucking, you know, because I don't give a shit. Like, you know, like job done, kids, hospital, sorted. And this is the mentality of people these days. Like, you'd rather sit around a table and bitch about this and this and that instead of fucking actually thinking about the people involved. Like, people don't care. They care about a facial status. I guarantee every one of these motherfuckers that was there, bystand, rubbernecking, had their phones out ready for a status. Like, we want to know what's happened. We want to know what's happened. Ain't none of them cunts dropped them kids. No, it was nothing, how are the boys or you know, like, offering support. Nah, it was like, how do we get a fat Facebook status going, you know? And this is the mentality of people. Another thing I want to talk about is like, you know, like I was staying we went back to my birth mums, and then like the lady she kind of raised come around, and this isn't like just paranoia either. I'm gonna go back to this gang stalking stuff. Like, this lady's gone out of her way to try and find the kids involved. So I'm not just making this video to save my ass or anything like that. It's just like, I shouldn't have to put up with more lies when I actually did the job that the ambulance and that should have been doing anyway. But that's just a funny story of what happened last weekend anyway. And I see one of the boys, we were at the dairy the other day, and I see one of the boys, and he's like, oi, and I turned and I seen him, and he is the one that was the least fucked up one. He had his arm all bandaged up. I went up, shook his hand like, fuck, at least you're alright, young fella, you know. And yeah, so that's been quite, so that was enough for me. Like, just knowing that they're alright's enough for me. One of the boys is actually in Wellington Hospital, but he'll be alright 2 months, you know, but shit happens when you party naked. And that's just the reality of things. But I really do urge people, like, if you do see things like this, be a bit more empathetic. You know, don't be a Karen, bro. Be a fucking help or fuck off home. You know, I could light a fire bigger than your fucking house for you to watch, you know. And we can talk about what happened. And I'll be like, bro, there was a fire. The wood was burning, you know. There's no sense in it. The only sense I see in that is a bunch of people who just, you know, need something to talk about around the table while they're drinking their fucking cups of tea, eh? So, like I said, just wake up and be a bit more human about what you're up to. So, yeah, thank you. Anyway, that's my video for today. Chat.